Hello everybody and welcome. We're going to be making some tomato soup today. Now I've made this before and I've done it the proper way, but we moved and I didn't have a garden and I wasn't about to try and make this while we were moving because that's when tomatoes were ready. So what I'm doing here is I'm using tin tomatoes. I did wash them. I'm blowing off the dog hair. I have pets. Um, anyway, so I had to figure out how many tins of tomatoes I would need to make up 8 pounds. 8 pounds of tomatoes is what this recipe calls for. Now, you're going to have to do the math yourself if you want to do it this way to figure it out. But 1 pound of tomatoes equals 2 cups of, is 2 cups of tomatoes. Yeah, 1 pound equals 2 cups. So I had to figure out how many cans I would need to equal 8 pounds, and I needed 8.5, so I just went 9. Now these have salt in them, so I did add salt, but I didn't add very much salt compared to what the recipe calls for. But anyway, so this recipe calls for 8 pounds of tomatoes. It's actually supposed to be roasted. You are supposed to roast the tomatoes, but I opted not to. If you wanted to, you probably could put this in a roasting pan and roast them even out of the tin. I would imagine. I can't see why not. But I decided not to do that. I hummed and hawed about it, to be honest with you, but I decided not to in the end. I just opened the cans, and yes, I'm fighting with a can opener. I have bad fingers. It's just part of my life. I'm used to it. But anyway, so this recipe calls for 8 pounds of tomatoes, 5 teaspoons of salt, divided, 2 teaspoons of black pepper. Now I'm actually wishing I wouldn't have added the full 2 teaspoons of black pepper. It's a wee bit spicy, but it's all right. 1 tablespoon of olive oil. I never added it because I wasn't cooking the onions, because there's 2 cups of onions and 4 cloves of garlic that you can add to this. I didn't add it because I can't eat the onion and garlic. Put it in if you want to. I opt to just to leave it out. 1 cup of white wine, which I don't use. I just use a cup of chicken stock. 4 cups of chicken stock and 1 cup of chopped, tightly packed basil leaves. Now you're going to see here, I don't have fresh basil. I use dehydrated basil. In this, it shows I did 1. Yeah, that dropped. I tried to catch it. I don't know why I did that. I had to wash it anyway. Anyway, so in the video you see I added 1 tablespoon of dried basil leaves to it. That wasn't quite enough, so I added 2, and that's just because that's my own taste. I discovered that the stove plug is not strong enough to power the immersion blender, so I had to plug it in somewhere else. That's what that was. So what I'm doing is I'm just blending the tomatoes because I use chopped tomatoes. So I'm blending them, making them nice and smooth. You're supposed to, when you roast it, you are to roast it and then run it through a food mill to remove all the pulp and the seeds and stuff. Nah. I just blend it all together. Blend, blend, blend. Now I did speed this up, this part of it, just because I think in grand total, this took about 20 minutes, I think it was. So I just sped through it, so that way you guys could see everything. Get the plate so I can put it on there. Okay, now getting it stirred up so I can add the chicken stock. Well, this is actually turkey stock, but chicken stock. 4 cups, 1 liter, or 1 quart, whatever you measure it as. And then I've got the pint there for the 1 cup of chicken stock. I end up by actually adding the rest of it in later. I don't even know why I didn't just pour it all in there to begin with. Okay, so I'm going to blend it again with the immersion blender just to make sure that I got all those chunks, because I knew there was still the odd little chunk that was going to float in there because it was pretty thick. So I'm blending and stirring, blending and stirring. At that point, I'm done with it. Get rid of it. Get it out of my sight. Okay, pepper. Now what I'm doing here is moving you because you're in my way. But I'm going to use half a teaspoon. And why? That's just because that's what I grabbed. But I'm using half a teaspoon. So there's half. There's one. I wish I would have stuck with just that one. But that's okay. So I'm going to get that mixed in there. Now, when I'm doing stuff like this, personally, I add one at a time. So that way I can mix it, get it all mixed together. Could I use my immersion blender? Yes, I could have. See, and here's me thinking, oh no, it can handle that other one. Nope, should have just left it. Should have left it. Grabbed the wrong salt. That was coarse salt. I don't know why I did that. And I did notice it needed some salt, so I added, that was about a teaspoon of salt that I added in there. And a lot of people are going to ask me, you're not using canning salt, and you're canning. Yes, I know. When you're making soups and that, it's perfectly fine to use regular salt. You don't have to use canning salt in it. It's perfectly fine. So what I'm doing again, tasting it, make sure I got the salt right. Next, basil. Now, like I said, you're going to see me add 1 tablespoon of basil. I do end up by adding 2. And that's just because we really love the basil flavor that comes through with the tomato soup. Because even when I make it using fresh basil, I always add more than 1 cup. And it's always a little spicy. So maybe it wasn't the pepper. Maybe it was just the amount of basil I used. Meh. Getting everything stirred up. Okay. So now what we're doing is we are canning it. So I can put this away now. I got the book here in front of me. Because this recipe is out of the all new Ball book of canning and preserving. I do quite like this soup recipe. Now my jars are all clean. Got the funnel in there. Now we're just going to put the soup in. You want 1-inch headspace. Now, if you want to, you could debubble this. I don't think I did. I can't remember, to be honest with you right now. We'll find out in a moment. If it's liquid, I never debubble. I don't see the point. The only time I debubble is if there is chunks in it. How about you guys? How do you feel about that? Would you debubble soup? Yeah, see, I didn't debubble it. So we're going to wipe the rim, get it nice and clean. Get our lid. Get our ring. Put it on there. Into the canner it goes. See, look at that. Look how pretty that is. That's pretty. That's beautiful. Into the canner. Then we're going to do another one. 1-inch headspace. Now see, this is typically how I can, guys. I have my jars lined up in front of me. And I just grab and go, grab and go, grab and go, grab and go, grab and go. It just works the best for me. Now I'm wiping the rim. Now every time I wipe my rim, I look and see if the paper towel is clean or that whatever you're using. I check to make sure it's clean. Then that way I know if I need to go over it a second time or not. I don't know if a lot of people do that or not. It's hard to tell when you're watching videos to see if that's what if somebody is doing that or not. But honestly, it's a smart move. Just check the paper towel. Then that way you know if it's coming clean or not. So we put a lid on it, put a ring on it. Into the canner it goes. I think I shut it off at this point. Nope, we do another one. I must have really just been zoned right out when I was doing this. Because guys, now that I'm not talking throughout the videos, I tend to just zone right out and I forget that I'm filming. So you guys are really getting to see how I can. Now that looks a little full. It was a little full. You can see, there we go. There was something on there, so I'm giving it another clean, checking it. Yep, good and clean. Because you want an inch headspace. That was a little less than an inch. Okay, now we're going to put the lid on it. I've got it mastered now, guys. It's not very often I got to fight with the wall and the canner now. I got it figured out. All right, now we're going to let that get up to steaming. All right, so again, it is venting. 10 minutes. Set your timer. All right, now as you can see, it's almost at 11 psi. We're getting there. We're getting there. I think my camera fights the focus when I put my phone there. It's like, wait, you're doing too much stuff. Seriously, I've got to scrub my canner clean. Like, that is just dirty. Okay, here we go. Focus. Focus. Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking too while I was doing this. Come on, focus. There we go. 50 minutes for pints. Okay, so I let it vent. It looks like I sped this part up. Did I speed it up? Intriguing. But anyway, so I don't even remember how many it was now. 8, 9, and 9, 18. 18 pints because the canner was full. So 18 pints, all of them sealed. They all turned out beautiful. We'll enjoy this for the winter. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you again really soon.